Hey, that's a great question, and thanks for the opportunity to answer. Let's start with the book of Jude. Here in Jude, verses 14 and 15, he's basically quoting verbatim Enoch chapter 1, verse 9. And you can find any version of Enoch you want to verify this. So Jude here is quoting Enoch, where if you back up to verse 6 here, what he's saying here is straight out of Enoch chapter 4, Enoch chapter 15, Enoch chapter 19, Enoch chapter 22, verse 11, concerning the angels in relationship to Sodom and Gomorrah, which the whoring extraordinarily is the marrying and given in marriage Jesus talks about. When he's speaking of as in the days of Noah, he's talking about the timeline of Enoch, Jared. So the marrying and given in marriage is seen in Enoch 106. For the Malachim angels united with women, they have married some of them, as well as the context of these verses here. I have all in my notes, where the devouring one another's bodies, cannibalism, eating blood, is what Jesus is saying here. They are the fallen angels, the Nephilim, the relationship between angels and human beings, chewing and drinking. The word chewing here is different from eating. It's like masticating, like an animal chewing bones. So chewing, drinking. The giants turned, devoured them, devoured one another's bodies, even drinking the blood. Hence, marrying women, choosing wives, giving birth to the Rephaim. Rephaim is found in the Old Testament many times. If you'd like, you can pause the screen and look at all the verse references here. I'm using the Devar translation. Rephaim, these are descendants of fallen angels uniting with women. The Nephilim, found here in Genesis 6:4 and Numbers 13:33. Sons of Enoch, the Anakim, more tribes and descendants of giants, fallen angels. Here again in Genesis chapter 6. They took for themselves wives. Enoch, all detailed in Enoch. As a matter of fact, here's a list of all of the tribes and descendants of the giants, the offspring of fallen angels in the Old Testament. All of these are descendants of fallen angels. Here in 2 Peter chapter 2, we read, "For if God did not spare the failing angels, but he gave them into the Saroi darkness, the silo-like caverns of the underworld, as giving them up over into Tartarus." Well, the writer of 2 Peter here is referring to Enoch chapter 20, verse 1 and 2, where we also find an occurrence of Tartarus here. In the book of Hebrews chapter 11, the displacement of Enoch is seen in Enoch chapter 12, verse 1, chapter 71, verse 1, and verse 5, as well as, of course, Genesis 5:24. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4, that it's mentioned that he still speaks now, that being Abel, is given to us in Enoch chapter 22, where he's making his case. It's the spirit of Abel making his case against Cain, his brother, until his seed is destroyed from the face of the earth, in relationship to the judgment of the great day coming. So without Enoch, we can't even understand what the writer of Hebrews is saying here, because they're referencing Enoch. Oh yeah, we come back to Jude again, verse 6, concerning the angels into the judgment of the great day, is Enoch chapter 19 right here. Uriel, one of the angels, said to me, "Here will stand the Malachim, or angels, who have coupled with women, their spirits assuming many different shapes, are defiling humankind and will lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods." Here they stand until the day of the great judgment. Hence, the judgment of the great day. I mean, half of the Epistle of Jude is detailed in Enoch. So we can't discredit the book of Enoch, or then we have to discredit Jude, and then we have to discredit 2 Peter, then we have to discredit Hebrews. Then I guess we have to discredit everything Jesus spoke regarding the mingling of seed. The context of Daniel chapter 2 verse 43, in the mingling themselves with the seed of the manful one. The manful ones in the Old Testament often speak of angels, actually. Even again in Ezra, all of these names are tribes of Nephilim, Rephaim, giants. Where here you see, for they lifted from their daughters for themselves, meaning they coupled with them and took daughters as offspring. Here in Enoch 15, we see that their designation as monsters who are formed from spirit and flesh, the Nephilim, will be called spirits. On the earthland, and on the earthland will their abode be. Spirits have proceeded from their bodies because they are born from human and from the Irim, the watchers, the angels. So the demons of the unclean spirits of the New Testament are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim giants. These are who Jesus was giving authority to drive them out from people. Back to Enoch 15, it says, these monstrous spirits will afflict, oppress, havoc, attack, do battle, ruin, and work destruction upon the whole world. Though spirits have no need of food, yet they still hunger and thirst mightily, and they offend. These spirits will always rise up against the sons of the human, and especially against women, because they proceeded from them. This is the same problem going on right now in the world. These are the cosmocrators of Ephesians 6:12 here. They can carry and impress upon our thinking in teaching. They're the demons, unclean spirits, included in the legion, Mark 5:9.